This is A View from the Bridge, official podcast of the Belfast Giants for kingdomofthegiants.com. Today is Tuesday, the 23rd of September, 2025. My name is Patrick Smith. I'm joined by the Belfast Giants statistician and part-time benchman, David Majemsi, and down below us, the hockey legend that is Simon Kitchen. Over the next hour or so, we'll be giving you all the news and views of the Belfast Giants and the Elite Ice Hockey League. You're watching us live on YouTube, on X, on Facebook. Drop us a comment, give us a like, subscribe, all that sort of good stuff. We really appreciate it. And you can get us, of course, on all the really good podcast providers. On this week's show, well, still Challenge Cup action, but Dundee have done the double over us in the last couple of weeks. We got a bit of chat there. But before that, we absolutely annihilated the Fife Flyers. So we'll maybe focus a little bit more on that. Who knows? We will be joined, for those fans of Shorsey, we're going to be joined by Brad Bonello, and Adam Keefe will be joining us later in the show also. Mr. Majemsi, how are you doing?
Not bad, mate. All right, actually.
You're a fan of Shorsey. Yeah,
especially the end of season 2 was a very emotional kind of, where he takes a concussion and doesn't look like he can play anymore. It's a real emotional, great TV show. Like great,
it's great. Letterkenny was. I enjoyed Letterkenny as well. I thought it was a great show. So I certainly do enjoy Shorsey. So it'll be good to chat to him. Mr. Kitchen, how are you?
I'm okay, mate. A wee bit poorly last week, but I'm grand now.
Feeling a bit better.
Oh, Lord, since we come back from Switzerland, the sickness bug's been right the whole way through the office. So Steve's been sick, Laura, myself, everybody's been sick. So yeah.
That'll teach you for going all the way to Switzerland. See, that's why I didn't go.
That's exactly why you didn't go. Right, dead on. But no, it's I am feeling okay. So it's starting to. I go to Portugal on Sunday, so it's a holiday which I'm looking forward to, because it's been far too long since I was there. It's 5 months, for God's sake. But
where you going?
Same place. I'm Philly, right in between Philomura and Albufeira. So I'm really looking forward to that. With my big brother Mo.
Nice. When we went out there with the kids over the summer, ended up going to that Zoo Marine. Do the
yes, yeah.
Right. Took the kids to the Zoo Marine. I'll tell you this quick story. Took the kids to the Zoo Marine. It was lovely. If anybody's been there, they'll know it's got dolphins and sail shows and all this sort of stuff, but also got a bit of a water park. It was a lovely day out. On the way home, asked the kids what their favorite part of the actual trip was. Now there's a pirate show, and the pirate show's got all these lads who are all stripped in and do backflips and all this sort of stuff. And one part of the pirate show is one of them comes into the crowd, and he's got like a fly swat, and he's trying to chase a fictional like wasp or something. And he's going around, and he's got some another bald gentleman.
What way is he doing it?
He's all this sort of like that. For all people.
You are listening to A View from the Bridge.
Anyway, bear with me. So then he's got another ball. He's put a wig on him. It's ha 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 ha. Anyway, he gets to me, and he's a pirate, and I've got half a pint in my hand. So I'm having a good day. It's a beautiful sunny day. I've got a half pint in my hand. He whips the half pint out of my hand, turns to the other pirates, goes, "Arr!" Next, the half pint, gives it back to me. Everybody laughs. My children laugh. The whole crowd laughed. There's only one person not laughing. I'll tell you that much. That thing cost me €8. Cost me €8, that pint. Did I get it back? Did I? But I asked the kids on the way home, when the pirates took your pint.
You're still owed a pint, if I'm right, by what do you call the guy that went to the NHL in Edinburgh?
PK Subban.
PK Subban.
And still owes you a pint as well.
Pint of Guinness.
We're all building up, mate.
I'm going to interest. Interest was that 2010. We're talking 15 years now. Was it 2010 that Gardner Cup?
Was it 2008?
2008 maybe. Oh, well, actually, you're right, because I was living in Newcastle at the time. So yeah,
17 years.
Interest.
At least 40 pints.
Whatever happened to him, eh?
I know. Awful career.
Anyway, that's enough of my nonsense. Let's get stuck in. We've got 2 games to talk about. The Belfast Giants were in Challenge Cup action across the weekend, home and away. It was an 8-0 win over the Fife Flyers and an unfortunate 5-2 defeat away to the Dundee Stars. Let's start with that Fife game, and as we normally do, let's hear from the coaches.
Yeah, well, obviously we had a pretty good game last weekend in Fife there after a tough game at home against Dundee. However, we thought tonight would be slightly different. Obviously, we caught a nice balance with Fife still being short-bodied, and we're actually back to full strength now. And I thought it was important for us that we approach this game, no matter who we're playing. We wanted to play like we did tonight and have a complete 60. And I thought, despite Fife being short bench there, I thought, no matter who was our opponent on the night, I thought we would have had a good game. And I think that the guys managed the puck well and did the things they needed to do, carried the run of play, and didn't really give Fife a whole lot of hope.
Yeah, pretty straightforward. I thought Belfast was really good, and we weren't. At the end of the day, it's my responsibility to make sure the team's ready to play. I thought we got dramatically outcompeted at our net front. We gave up a lot of second, third chances, rebounds. I thought we had a good start to the second period, but we played a really complicated game, a lot of turnovers. I think Belfast is really good in transition, and obviously, they made us pay on a number of occasions.
When Adam Keefe said, despite Fife being short benched, I didn't know what was coming out there. It was an 8-0 win for the Belfast Giants. Your Belfast Giants scores were Patrick Grasso with a hat-trick, Mike Lee, JJ Piconich, Jake Gaudet, and Jordan Karaguchi had 2. It was in nets. It was Jackson Whistle up against Shane Owen, and your two referees were Chris Wells and Vitas Lukasvicius. Open and shut case here, Davy. I felt that the Giants, were in the front foot. They got those 2 goals in the first period and just motored on from there.
Yeah, it felt like a bit of a continuation almost from the game the previous weekend. We just started the way we finished in Fife, and we took it to them right from the very start. I wouldn't ever argue with coaches' comments, but I think both coaches there are fairly straightforward in their assessments of the game. I think the Giants played a full good 60. We got in front of the net a lot and got a lot of 30 goals in and around. Shane Owen, we tired him out. Like Shane Owen, bless him, in the third period, looked just completely exhausted. And the Giants worked really, really hard up and down the ice. And I can't remember whether it was Adam or whether it was Jamie there mentioned about our transition play. We got the puck from our D zone to the O zone. We got good pressure situations, and what you want from your players, you want to convert these multiple chances that we had. We didn't give them very much. Jackson had 2 or 3 big saves to make in the game, but wasn't bothered too much for the goose egg. And I thought, overall, after the game the weekend before, the home opener, were, in domestic action certainly anyway, where we came away with a loss to Dundee. There was a wrong righted there. The boys probably wanted to put on a good performance for the home crowd, and I think they did.
Over 6,000 people in the building. Simon were thoroughly entertained with those 8 goals, but I felt that at times the Giants, it became a little bit of a training thing, because I was expecting more. I've been talking for weeks now about how the league has improved. Fife have improved, Dundee have improved, and to an extent they have. We've also improved, but I kind of expected more from Fife in this game.
Yeah, no, they were short-bodied. I think there were 3 guys
Yes.
now, and Descharme, who seems to be a really top player for them, is missing. And we've been short-benched most of the 5 or 6 weeks that we've had so far in CHL and Challenge Cup action. Even pre-season, we're missing guys. So it's it is difficult to try and, if you look at their fourth line, it's 3 young Brits, and we've got a fourth line on Saturday night of Brandon Whistle, Ben Lake, and Kieran Long. So a lot of experience between those 3 guys, and I just thought that we absolutely dominated in every aspect of that game on Saturday night. Probably dominated too much, and I don't think we actually exerted too much pressure either. I mean, once we're 4-0 up, I agree with you, Paddy. I don't think it was. I thought it was a training game after that, and it sort of. It sort of went stale in the third. You think it was a 6-0 at the end of the second period, and you sort of you think big thing about it is you don't want to run a score up. You don't want to make it double figures, and that embarrasses fellow professionals. It's not nice. And everybody's been in that position before, and it's that while the fans were, they seem to be getting louder as it got to 5, 6, 7, and then 8. I just thought that it was a really professional performance. And at times I think we could have put our foot on the pedal, and even with a couple of extra power plays, and but I just don't think we're exerting ourselves too much, and obviously trying to save a bit of energy. Adam run the 4 lines the whole way through the game, trying to save a bit of energy for Sunday, which didn't turn out that well. But it was good to get it was good to get a better performance at home than the previous Saturday. Some really nice goals. The combo of Godet, Kawaguchi, and Grasso. I think it was 15 points, Davey, if I'm wrong, between the two of them.
Yeah.
So obviously, I think Kawaguchi had 6 points and 5 for Grasso, and then 4 for Jake. So that line in particular played really well. And one thing that sort of stands out for me at the minute is, the line of our top line, the so to say, of Pickenich, Conway, and David Goodwin, just haven't really seemed to get going yet. But we know what they're capable of. So, I don't think it's going to be that far down the line before that's going to kick in. And we're looking forward to that happening. But, it's been a tough 5-6 weeks so far. And it was good to get a really good performance and a win at home.
Davy Simon's just come on to that point that I was going to make. Outside of the goal that was scored by JJ Pickenich, which was assisted by David Goodwin and Boudreau, every other goal had an input from that line of Grasso, Godet, and Kawaguchi. And Mike Lee's goal was assisted by Kawaguchi. Between them, Patrick Grasso had 3 goals, 2 assists. Godet had 2 assists. Kawaguchi had 2 goals and 4 assists. That was the line in particular that had the number of the Fife Flyers. Do you have any concern of the fact that top line isn't really firing?
No. Like Pick had 1+1 on the night. There was contributions all through the night from Scott Conway and David Goodwin, maybe just not on the score sheet, but it's early in the season. Of course they'll be busting to get a goal, they'll be busting to get one, because just that's the competitive nature of the guys. But no concerns there.
But this is an easy one to talk about because it was an 8-0 win. Let's box this one off and let's go on to the next one, which might be a little bit more taxing to discuss. It was a 5-2 win for the Dundee Stars away at the Dundee Ice Arena. Let's hear from the coaches.
Proud of the guys for their effort there tonight. We're on our heels in the first period. They're a very good hockey team that had us in our zone. But we found a way to crawl through that and have a 2-1 lead after the end of the first. Carried down into the second. We need the power play to get going. It was 2 timely goals in the power play in the second period. It would be nice to get one in the 5-on-3 there. But that's something we'll work on and continue to work on here throughout the week for next week. But I can't complain. A 3-point weekend. Would have been nice to have 4 there after last night. But the group, we had a 4-2 lead going into the third period again. We learned from our mistake from last night and learned how to play with the lead, especially against a team like that who has a heavy offense and keeps coming at you in waves. And we got a big 5th goal there in the third period to kind of seal it. Another big penalty kill at the end of the game there. So, 3-point weekend, you're never going to complain about that.
Well, I thought Dundee, especially in the third period, competed harder than us. It's unfortunate. It's disappointing to say. I thought we'd have a better pushback there in the third period. I thought through the first 40 minutes we did enough to at least be tied in that game. Through the first period, I thought we did enough to be in the lead. Didn't score goals and then conceded our own. Third period was disappointing for me. I thought that Dundee was the better hockey team and competed, did all the little things, blocking shots, competing for loose pucks in front of their net, and taking guys going to the net, making it very difficult on our guys to get anything going, and we didn't. And because of that, you lose hockey game.
Your 5 goals for the Dundee Stars were scored by Garrigan, Almqvist, Nass, Olsen, and Berry. The 2 goals for the Belfast Giants were scored by Ryan Smith and Nicholas Gray. It was a Jared Frisk against Alexis Gravel. To begin with, Gravel was hooked on around 20 minutes and Jackson Whistle went in. Your referees for the night were Toby Craig and Graham Rogers. Says Dundee have now done the double on us. Now, there's a lot of ways we can look at this. Is it the fact that we didn't compete? Adam made a point at the end of after the game against Fife Flyers that we were playing at full strength, more or less full strength for this game as well. What was it? Was the difference between these two sides? Was it just a compete level?
I thought they wanted it more, to be honest. I didn't see the interviews last night. This is the first time I've seen them. And our mate Lefebvre and Adam were giving their views on the game. And you're always getting that's the one really good thing I like about hockey coaches. They're honest, and they tell them exactly what they're thinking. And, if a team's better than them, they'll say it. If it's they think that they've run the roost over them, they'll say it as well. But I just thought that, I think Adam absolutely nailed it. We're too far away of getting really back into the game. Obviously, you're 2-1 down, get into the second period, and then you can see that really early goal in the second on the power play, and your goaltender takes a penalty. I don't know what your views are on that. I just felt that there were some really soft calls, and there were some missed calls from the officials on Sunday, and it just seems to be that we're not taking advantage when we do get those opportunities. And you got 2 late power plays, and unfortunately for us, we didn't make use of them as well. But I just thought we did take the better chances. I thought we penned them in their zone an awful lot of the time in the first period. But again, you're not taking your chances when they're coming along. Fist did well. I mean, faced a lot of rubber at times, and I think he played decently last weekend as well in Belfast. But the one big thing that just even watching that clip is defensemen are letting them see the puck. They're clearing the front of the house. They're letting the goaltender see the puck and see the puck coming through from wherever it may be. They're getting out of his way, and it's easier to make the save by the goaltender when he can see the puck. So disappointing that the third period didn't really amount to anything, and disappointing that Dundee have got 2 wins over us with 2 games in the first 2 weeks of the domestic season. But look, I think we'll play them another 635 times before now in the end of the season. So I fancy our chances to basically get the better off them the whole way through the year. But again, a disappointing end to a weekend which started so fruitfully against the Fife Flyers.
Davey says makes a point there defensively that maybe we weren't, that we were doing what we needed to do. What was your view
on the game?
Yeah, and defensively, because there are you need, and I know that social media is not a guide of anything, but there's a lot of and you say that are we lacking defensively at the minute? Is that why this is happening?
Unpopular opinion, probably from me, that I actually thought, and I concur with that. Look, we played a really good 60-minute game on Saturday night. We had a really strong first 20 minutes, not a bad middle 20, and an awful third period on Sunday night. I think that we had twice Dundee scored, and we came back on the next shift and scored with good reactions to going behind in situations. Yes, the first goal, we leave Alexei Gravel 2-on-1, 2 guys down in the slot, and him on his own. It's a semi little fly screen on him. He can't see the puck. It's hard to save. The second one, you've just seen the second one. Guys on the doorstep. It's a cross ice pass. Nobody near him. Tats it in. Third goals on the power play. Very active boards. It's came out. It's popped in behind him. And that's the end of Alexei Gravel's night. And the Giants were kind of chasing at that point. And we hemmed Dundee in. Fisk had to come up with a lot of good saves. Secondary scoring, I think, is probably, or not secondary scoring so much as secondary opportunities. We're getting those first up opportunities. And another breakaway here that Alexei comes up with a big save on. We had a number of those. Were too many giveaways. Simon will talk about this, I'm sure. Too many giveaways, too many breakaways, too many 2-on-1s, 3-on-2s, whatever, 1-on-nones. And, that's something that they'll want to lock down. We know we have very active D-men. If you've got a line of Gabe Bast and Mike Lee, they're going to be attacking. It's when we talk about that third man being a hand stuff. And, I think 20 minutes we were right in this game. If we'd have came out of that first period in the lead, would have been surprised. Second period, something similar. Pretty good pushback after they scored. But unfortunately, the early power play kind of killed us in that second period. And then the third, we just couldn't get the ball rolling at all. Unfortunately, they just had a wee bit more on us on the night, and we probably left ourselves just too much to do in that third period.
Two points on that says, and you can choose which one you want to talk about. Discipline and turnovers. Which one do you want?
I'll take both of them. I'll give a comment on both of them. Too many mistakes. You've got to take responsibility for whether you're coming back to cover your own man. There was mistakes on on both ends of the ice. When you're Adam likes his defenseman to get involved. I mean, I've seen a lot of comments on socials over the last night and thinking that, you know, it's all good and well. Some of the fans coming up with brilliant ideas on who to sign and what sort of player we need. But look, I trust Adam to basically, you know, go out and get the right guys that he feels is going to work for his system. You know, it's we won 2 trophies last year, playing the same hockey. So let's not just let's blow things up at the minute. Just calm down. Yes, we would have liked to win 4 out of 4. That hasn't happened. But you know, you would need to clamp down on the mistakes. We didn't make any mistakes on Saturday night. We just left them all for Sunday night. That's exactly what it felt like. When you're talking about the discipline, again, the team discipline is important. I mentioned it earlier. I thought that there were some really soft calls. I thought that there was a lot of missed calls on both sides as well. That the referee seemed to would just, you know, let the play all carry on, and you know, when you've got 8 penalties against 3, I think it is, and you would think that we're a dirty team when we're really not. But like, bottom line is, when you get the opportunity with chances that are grade A and you don't take them, that's what loses you hockey games. You know, yes, you can make mistakes. We've got the offensive talent within this group to score 3, 4, 5, 6 goals every single game. But when you come out and you only score 2, you're going to lose more games than you win.
Davy, defensively, what do you think?
I think we've got to factor in as well. You know, you've got Reid Irwin there, you've got Sam Jones playing his first game of the season. These guys need time to bed in as well. Not making excuses for anybody, but there's obviously, you know, everybody gets a game or two to get their wheels under them, and these guys haven't been playing too much, haven't had too much ice. So, you know, you can't be panicking too much at this stage. Simon said it, you know, a lot of these guys played last year, won trophies, and we were happy to give them pats on the back. And they'll be their own worst critics as well, and they'll be training this week and they'll be trying to, you know, fix the things that went wrong this weekend, but haven't become bad players overnight, you know. So let's not throw the baby out with bathwater here and panic too much.
What changes need made, like, in regards to the approach we're going into the games against Glasgow, sis?
Again, defensively, when the goaltending, I think Jackson and Alex want to be better, and they have to be better. You know, Glasgow have started the season particularly well. They're sitting top of our group. You know, this isn't something we're used to, and you know, everybody talks about winning as you know, habit. It is a habit. Sorry, so's losing. You know, so we need to get out of this. If we want to call it a rut, and you know, again, I don't see it as a rut. I just feel that it's. We haven't. Adam talks about it a lot and playing 60-minute games, and we didn't do that last night. You know, we need to compete. We need to come out and we need to basically be better, and that's what it comes down to. And you know, when we take our chances, we are capable of scoring a lot more goals. We showed that against the Fife team on Saturday night. But you know, it's just a disappointing Sunday when you, as I say, you just. If you're out competed in the last period, yes, Dundee are at home. I get that. They've got their own fans behind them. We've quite a few fans there as well, which we always do going to Scotland. So, you know, we just need to be better. That's the bottom line. Just, you know, play a 60-minute game, and we will win more games than we lose if we play for 60 minutes.
The highlights from the games that were this weekend, obviously the game against Fife, the highlights are on YouTube from our good friends at Giants TV, and the highlights of the game against Dundee in Dundee are available from Dundee Stars TV on YouTube. Right, Ty, we've got a couple of guests now. We'll bring out our first one, and then we'll get the second one to come and join in just a second. Coming up in a few minutes, we'll have the head coach of the Belfast Giants, Adam Keefe. But to start with, a man who was with us here in Belfast back in June for the testimonial and the hockey hospice games. For those who watch Shorsey, you'll know him very well. But the rest of us might know him as the guy who went into the playoffs with the Edinburgh Capitals. Brad Bonello, how you doing?
How you doing, guys? Thanks for having me.
Turn your phone 90 degrees if you could, please.
Oh, this way. I don't know if this works, does it? I'm not
There
good.
it is. That's the one. That's the
There
one.
we go.
Let's start. And I'm going to come back. I'm going to come back to that playoff run with the Edinburgh Capitals. Absolutely, we are. But let's start with let's start with June. Let's start with June and the experience that you had over here. We'll bring Adam in a few minutes, and we'll have a bit of crack with that as well. But before we do, give us your experiences. What did you enjoy about June?
You know, it was an incredible experience, and you know, for all the people that work behind the scenes to make that happen. You know, I haven't stopped talking about it since I've been home, to be brutally honest with you. And that's I don't know if we can swear, but that's no bullshit. I'll be honest. I tell everybody the hospitality and the event that was put on there, and I couldn't have been more happy for my best buddy, because I tell people all the time, guys like that who played like him, they don't get that recognition ever, unfortunately. And it takes a guy like that to do what he's done so far in Belfast, past and present, as well as his playing career. But usually, if you're known as an enforcer or a policeman out there, you don't get that kind of reward and honor. And it was really, really neat to see that and experience it and be around all those great people and great hockey players, whether I played against them, played with them. It was really nice.
Has he surprised you where he's went in his career?
Oh, 100%. You know what? You guys don't know him from when he was young, and he was very, very, I don't want to say shy, but very quiet. Like, there is no way you would get at him in front of people speaking, going to do all these hospitality events and so forth. Like, while I was there, and the first night I was there, he had to go and do some charity ball or something, and I was like, that is incredible, because there's no shot you could even get this guy to do a presentation in class in grade 5. Like, there's no way. So to see how far he's come and how professional he is and how serious he does take the job and the responsibility of leading the Belfast Giants, as well as being a huge part of your community, is very surprising. But he's always been a guy who's stepped up to the plate for his teammates and now for an organization and his team.
Brad, you talk about Adam there and maybe these kind of enforcers not getting the recognition they deserve. Let's go back to the Friday night of the weekend you were there and getting involved in that charity game. Is that something that you've ever been involved in, something quite like that before?
Never to that extent. I've played in it wasn't a hospice for hockey. It was another charity here where you had 6 teams that had one, superstar. Let's just say on my team, I had Wendell Clark, Easter Seals, we call it over here. We had an Easter Seals tournament, and I played in that, but it was very, very small compared to what you guys put on over there. It wouldn't even, as we say, it wouldn't even hold his jockstrap to you guys for sure. There's no way. Like, I was astonished of how well it was put on, and just the amount of people and support that you guys have is tremendous.
And then we went on to the Sunday, and you've got all these guys that you've Owen Nolan, David Clarkson, and yourself, and all these guys that came out. But it was quite an emotional day, myself included. I'm standing on the ice when Adam's doing his speech, and a lot of us were in tears.
You know what? I was standing there, to be honest with you, and I was trying to hold it together, just because, like I said, we've been through so much together since we were 6 years old, to the point of, when my father fell ill, I lived with his family for a good 7 months while my mother was in the hospital with my dad, who passed away. But his family is my family. Adam, I consider him a brother more than a friend. Even Sheldon, to be honest with you, and to be honest, when I looked over to the bench and I saw Sheldon choking up, this guy's a National Hockey League coach, very well established. It just shows you that guys are human, and there was a lot of tears that were flying in that rink that night, not because it was sad. It was such an honor to see a guy like Adam get this recognition, and you flash back through all the good times, bad times, tough times, funny times that you had with this guy. I'll be honest, I was sitting there hoping he didn't even mention my name at one point because I was trying to hide. And, he spit something out briefly and I couldn't hold it together. And Jackie, Sheldon's wife, she made sure I heard it at our after party after.
Bones, look, I personally, thanks very much for coming on. And you said back in June that you would definitely do it, so we really appreciate your time, mate. That Sunday afternoon and just the way you talked about in the early in the interview about how much that sort of means to have your number retired, but for Adam to have the event that was put on for him, nearly 14 years at that point. Obviously, he's been in the country and player, captain, coach. I mean, you've seen how this is your first time to Northern Ireland. You've seen how revered he is, how the fans think of him. And I know he's standing backstage watching this, and I know he hates all the adulation side of it. Well, he secretly loves it, but that's besides the point. But you think back to when you're basically skating on the backdoor rinks and you're talking about pawns and stuff like that when you're kids. Did you ever think he would become a coach?
Well, listen, I'll be brutally honest with you. We never thought any of us would become coaches. I coach over here just minor hockey, and actually I coach kids that are going into their OHL draft year this year, so it's kind of serious. But I also coach my young lads who just turned 8 the other day. It's something you don't really ever think about, but it really shows the passion and the dedication that we've given to this sport. We come from hardworking families, hardworking mother and fathers that put everything they possibly had into us playing this game. And it's not cheap. We all know it's not cheap to play this game. And, so to give back to the people as much as we want to give back to our parents and say thank you by carrying on in the sport, because there's a lot of guys that carry on to a certain point, stop, they become, doctors, lawyers, bankers, whatever it may be. I really admire the guys that stay within the game and try to give back to the youth as well as our parents who sacrifice so much for us. And back to like the retirement part of his jersey, let's be honest, we never ever think of that. You dream of it, you see it on TV. Even at 41 years old, I watch Joe Thornton and all these guys getting their numbers retired. I still get emotional because
We've lost you.
We've lost your audio there, Bones. If you can you hear us? Oh.
He's still going.
Still going. It's
drop him out.
He's still going.
Drop him out. Bring him back in.
Does this works? No. Let's drop it.
I'll
tell you what. We'll come back to him. If you send him a message, explain what happened there, says, and what we'll do is we'll bring in the man he was talking about. Please welcome back to the Bridge, the head coach of the Belfast Giants, Adam Keefe. Kiefer, Bones was in full flow there, absolute full flow, and his audio cut out. So maybe we'll get him to reload, and we'll bring him back in. Tell us a bit about the man we've just been hearing about.
Well, I think when you bring him back in, he'll still be talking. It's hard to get that guy to shut up. No, I mean, he's I listened to him speak earlier there. Obviously, we've been through a lot together, grew up together, played minor hockey together, played major junior against each other, played pro against each other. And played pro with him. I played my first year in Toledo with him as well, before he got traded there. So I always called him a coach killer. He was a pain in the ass to play against, that's for sure. I mean, he competed real hard, was a bit of a natural goal scorer, and obviously it was fun to play with him and against him. It was nice to get him back here for that testimonial game I don't get to see a lot of my friends from home. Obviously I've made a life for myself over here. So, when I can get them to come over here and especially all together, with my family, Brad, some of my friends from back home. It was an awesome weekend.
Simon.
Just touching on that, Adam, after the June weekend, I don't think you're going to have a problem trying to get your mates back here again. I mean, Clarkson had an absolute ball. Mike Richards seemed to enjoy himself. Bones didn't want to go home. We all know that Loiter would come every single week if he could. The whole, I know it's done and dusted and you're right in the middle of season again, but when you do look back at that event 3 months ago, 4 months ago, my God, when you look back at that time and that 3 or 4 days that you spent with all those guys, it must, I mean, I know you were busy the whole week, but it must have been really, really good for you to see all those people together after such a long time.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, like I said, I couldn't have asked for a better. I mean, maybe for everyone to have been there. There was still obviously lots of people that would have loved to have had there, but couldn't make it, or it's just expensive to get over here. All the factors that come into play. But certainly the people that were there, it was amazing to have them all together. Not just for myself, obviously for the likes of you guys to see some of the guys that were back, and for those guys to come back and experience a weekend of pro hockey again. It's a walk down memory lane for them, and to not just have the one game, but to get to have 2 games to come in and play in front of that crowd. I'm sure that for many of the guys that returned, it was like going back in time and lacing them up in front of the crowd, and going through that hockey weekend, and then also like the after festivities were a lot of fun as well. And I'm sure that the guys got to bring, some guys brought their wives, girlfriends, kids back and got to, show them their old stomping grounds. And I'm sure they reminisce on old stories. And I mean, that's all that whole weekend was about. I hope that we get to have many more of them, in my time here anyway. But I hope that we continue to do things like that and get alumni back. I think that it's very important to build culture and a history for this club, and it makes it feel and become something a little extra special when guys become essentially Belfast Giants for life. And I think that those guys that were back that weekend are certainly among some of the top in that category.
Adam,
Davey,
I know.
Davey, before you do, let me just check. I just want to check if Bones' audio's come back and see if he's come back in. Bones, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
He is back. Welcome back.
I'm not good with this. Hey, guys, listen, these are hockey players trying to deal with technology here. Not all of us is as polished as Kiefer with this stuff.
Yeah. I thought you'd still be talking when they brought you back in.
I'll be honest, I was.
Davey, sorry, back to you, mate.
I was going to say, Adam, nice came back in, which makes this even awkwarder. Your testimonial was obviously never going to be uncompetitive, but Bones can skate still. Like, this guy's got a bit about him.
He's still playing. I mean, that's it. There's been a few times I've asked him if he'd come over here, and when we were short-bodied, especially Brexit kind of screwed that, because he did have a Maltese passport, so he was a EU guy, so we could get him in quick. But there was a couple times he was going to be a Belfast Giant.
That's interesting. Because that sort of lifts into what I was going to say to you, Bones, as regards to you were in this league before he was. You both played under Doug Christensen. Tell us about that experience at Edinburgh.
Well, let's be honest. I played in a lot of leagues except for the ones that mattered. That's what I always tell people. But it was funny because we played against Doug back in the day in North America, and I believe in the coast. He was in Reading at one point, and we hated him, and I'm sure he hated us. And back to what Kiefer said, we got to play a little bit of pro hockey together in Toledo. And quick story is that I remember we got onto a line one time. Nick Fatucci was our coach. He said, "You guys are going to play together tonight." And I remember Kiefer just coming up to me and saying, because we wanted to get out of that league, we wanted to get back to the American Hockey League. He literally came to me and said, "You can do whatever you want tonight." And I was like, all right, if that's the case. And I remember I started something, and before I could even get involved, he's skating right in between us and beat the snot out of somebody. The iconic elbow pad toss, hair flip, went to the box. I think he had 3 fights that night, and I'll be honest with you, I think he got called up fairly shortly after that game we were playing. I want to say we were playing Wheeling when that happened. But as regards to Dougie, I was playing North America. Hadn't talked to him since he had left playing. It's funny, my agent told me I was trying to go over to Europe in that summer, and he said, well, sorry, Bones, you're not a European type of player. Nobody's really biting. But I got an email come January, right before the cutoff, and it was Doug Christensen, and he said, would you like to come? And I said, absolutely. So when I went over to Edinburgh, it was obviously, new to me. I didn't understand, how the game was over there or what the amenities were, arena, dressing room, and so forth. And let me tell you, it was a shock to my culture just by having to go play there room-wise. The fans were awesome. The rink was, the rink is the rink. We've played in bad rinks, we've played in good rinks. It doesn't matter. It's ice, and it's a puck, and it's nets, and it's guys that you want to, kill on the other team. That's pretty much the game. So, it's funny because I got over there, got off to a slow start, and Doug came to me probably 2 weeks in, and he said, hey, man, if you don't pick this up, we're going to have to, well, you guys use a different word, Kenya or something like that, or whatever he said to me. Gas, yeah. And I'm like, what do you mean, gas for my car? I don't understand. And he's like, no, we'll send you home. I'm like, hold on. I didn't come across the world to be sent home in 2 weeks because I, haven't put up any points or anything. And I didn't. My play wasn't great, but then I kind of got used to it and found my way a little bit. It was only the last 15 games or so of the year. And then we finally snuck into the playoffs there and was short-lived. And I cut my hair kind of funny for that playoff run there, and I had the Hulk Hogan skullet going, and my hair never grew back the same since.
Yeah, preach, boy. You say that, but like that Edinburgh Capitals team were renowned for never really making the playoffs. So to be part of the part of a team that actually made the playoffs is quite unique. Sorry, Says, were you going to come in there?
Yeah, I was. You were talking about playing in the first professional, Adam's first professional year together in Toledo. But then you played against him. What would you like to play against as your best mate?
It's hard, but we were always brought up and bred that there's no friends on the ice, and it was truly how it was. And I wouldn't take liberties with him; he wouldn't take liberties with me because of it. But we play hard against each other. I will tell you a quick story: is that we were in Kitchener one night, and we didn't want each other to score against each other, because then that just adds to the bragging rights for the summer and so forth. And I saw he was on a 2-on-1, barreling down the ice, and a lot of people would probably agree with you. I didn't backcheck too hard when I played, but at this point in time, I decided to skate a little bit and catch Kiefer. And before we even got there, I kind of hauled him down a little bit. He didn't know, because again, he was super focused when he played. He had one thing on his mind. It was basically to drive back door and tap it in if it was Richie or somebody passing to him. But I was going to try my darndest to make sure that didn't happen. And it just so happened he was I knocked him down, but he was holding on to my leg somehow, but he didn't really know who it was. And I kind of gave him a bit of a cross check in the back of the neck / head area to get him off my leg, because the puck was going the other way. And as I'm skating up the ice, if you guys ever watched Looney Tunes back in the day when, Bugs Bunny was on the stage and they wanted to get him off, they used to send the cane around his neck and yank him off the ice, or off the stage. So as I'm skating up the ice, I hear guys yelling, heads up, heads up, heads up. And I have no idea what they're talking about, but I see this stick come around my head right here and literally hooked me around the neck. He pulled me down to the ice. He grabbed me with his other hand. He looked at me and he says, "You're very lucky right now. Don't ever do that again." And I just looked up and I said, "Absolutely not. It's never going to happen again." And that was the truth. And it's fun to play against your best buddy, but we all had that ambition to make it, and we weren't going to let our best friend get in the way. And as much as we loved each other, it was game time once the puck dropped.
Yeah, Adam, I know how how looking forward you were to having Bones coming here. The 2 weeks leading, the 3 weeks leading up to it. Is everything okay with Bones? Have you got a hotel sorted? Have you got this sorted? Have you got that sorted? Are you picking him up okay? Bones, he was relentless, and I mean relentless every single day to me and Laura, trying to make sure everything was okay. For everybody else, there's 1 or 2, Owen, Nolan, and you, as long as you two were looked after, everybody
Well, you know what? I'll be honest with you.
else
He's
doesn't
been
really
over
matter.
there for how long? 14 years, 10 years?
You were really looking forward for Bones to come to Belfast. But how,
He knew that I'm extremely cheap, and the only way to get me there was if somebody was able to help me out a little bit. So he was making sure I got on that plane.
Well, I know, as I say, I was absolutely delighted to have you here. Adam, tell us something about Bones from when he was a kid. There's bound to be some. I'm literally looking at your face when he's talking.
Yeah, it's hard to get a word in with Bones, but it was. That story he told, I still remember that one clear as day. I think he did stop me from scoring, and also gave me a shove or cross check into the boards to let me know as well. And I didn't know who it was, but when I saw it was him, I was like, that little, So I had to kind of let him know that I had to show. I at least had to show my team that I was going to allow that to happen, even though he was my friend. So, but that's like he says, that's the way we were brought up. We were brought up to compete, and I think that you asked the question about us becoming coaches, and you don't ever envision yourself becoming a coach. You just put your whole life into trying to make the NHL and become a hockey player. And when it doesn't happen, I think the next best thing is to stay in the game and do what we're doing right now. We're still a part of it, and Bones still actually plays, which obviously keeps himself in pretty good shape. But he's won. How many times have you guys won that league?
We won the Allen Cup back-to-back. We lost last year, but yeah, it's.
Yeah, the Allen Cup to me is a tough trophy to win. You look at it, you look at the names that are playing in that league right now. I think, did Todd Bertuzzi just sign there?
He just signed. Yep, he just signed in Cambridge.
There's a lot of guys ex-players that played there, and then there's also a lot of major junior players that are still playing the game, and they're doing that alongside their lives and their jobs, obviously. So tough trophy to win. So it's pretty cool to still see that he's still playing. Obviously, outside of a couple skates in the summer and a testimonial game here and there, that's all I get. So, that story that he told in Kitchener was a good one. There's a bunch of other ones. I'm surprised he never told the Timmy Tyke story where he scored the winner, and when you're 9, you play in a Timmy Tyke tournament, and I think the 3 big names. Well, we like to call them big names. Were myself, Brad, and Rick Nash were playing in that game, and in the finals, and it was in Toronto Maple Leaf Gardens. And I think myself and Rick Nash had scored in that game. We were playing against Rick Nash, and we went into a shootout. I hit the post, and this man here scored the game winner in the shootout. And I think we've relived that moment probably every couple of years. He'll let you know, and he'll show you the MVP trophy. He's probably got it on his fireplace.
Hey, you know what? I think it's one of the only trophies that I actually ever kept from when I was a kid. No joke.
Yeah. So no, there's a lot of good stories, and some we can't tell on air here. So, but no, a lot of good time. It was awesome to have him back. Next step, we'll have to get him and his boys over. 2 hockey players as well. So one of them's a goalie though, so that's interesting.
Yeah, he's an interesting character himself. Trust me, that's why he's a goalie.
Bones, you've got to tell us about the incident that the week before you came here.
Yeah.
Was it Montreal with your kid?
Which one? Which one was that?
they were having a bit of a scrap in that tournament, and it was in Montreal they were playing.
No, that was the end of. We were in Montreal a week before, but at the end of, we have a championship tournament at their age, and at this point they were 7 years old. They just turned 8 this past Sunday, and this league started as a rogue league because here in Canada they want you to play half ice hockey, small area games hockey. So everybody moved over to this league, who's run by Christopher Stieg, who played in the NHL. Everybody's aware of who he is. He created this outlaw league, and it's basically regular hockey, 5-on-5, full ice, and lets the kids develop. But it was championship weekend, and my son, the player. Oh yeah, well, my son, the player, got suspended 3 games in that. But I remember the one you're talking about now with Montreal. There's so many of these guys that I can't even keep track. But the one in Montreal is that my goalie, he's very competitive. They scored a goal by the puck kind of sitting behind him. The referee didn't blow the whistle. He couldn't find it. The kid reached around and put it in the net, and he got upset. And he was looking at me, and I'm like, well, freeze the puck. He's looking at the ref. The ref's like, freeze the puck. So similar thing happened in the second period. Puck's behind him. Same exact goal. And the kid reaches around and puts it in the net, and he goes to celebrate coming out by the hash marks right in front of his crease, and he skated out and just sucker punched him with the blocker at 7 years old, and then started just giving it to him. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me right now. He didn't even get a penalty. So this is the worst part, is that he thought it was okay. And then in the third period, we were losing. We're going to be out of the tournament. I should have known better because, as Kiefer said, I was kind of a coach killer. And I put my son out to take a face off with 3 or 4 seconds left in the game, 5-on-3. We were against 5-on-3, so he was the only forward. And I told him before he went on the ice, I looked at him like this, standing on the bench, he's on the ice. I said, nothing stupid. And I should have known better because I've been in that situation as an 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old man. This is a 7-year-old kid. And he looked at me. He's like, yeah, okay, Dad, no problem. He went in and took the face off, head down. Soon as the puck drops, he gets up and he cross-checks the kid like in the neck/head area. He goes down to the ice. The referee has no idea what's going on because he's surprised a 7-year-old would do this. And he started skating himself to the penalty box without the referee. So he knew what he was doing, especially when I told him, don't do it. Don't do it. So as the referee's kind of catching up to him to escort him to the penalty box, the other kid's trying to pick himself up off the ice. And his twin brother, who's in net, comes flying out of the net and sucker punches this kid back down to the ice again. And clearly you can understand how their parents were reacting to this whole melee. And I'll be honest, whenever something like that happens, I kind of on the bench just turn around and face the wall. I never saw it. I didn't tell him to do it. I never saw it. I don't know what happened. But one would say there's definitely a chip off the old man's block when it comes to maybe not, composing themselves at the right time.
I'm not surprised by that. It's like Sly Silvestri. You haven't been talking about that. He was the biggest rat to play against in the OHL, and I imagine obviously that's part of the reasons why he's one of the biggest rats on that TV show as well.
That's where Jared Keefe, he actually does his homework. He's actually he's like a hockey almanac, and he knew my stats. He knows everybody's stats. He knows Kiefer's stats. He knows everybody. He sits there and watches hockey fights videos. He watches whatever he can hockey and studies it. And he came up to me in season 3, first time I met him on the ice, and he said, you played for the Toronto Marlies, Red Wings, and Kings when you were a kid. You can't really find that online. That's not on your hockey DB. That's not on your elite prospects. He already knew this. And he said that he played against, he would have played against Kiefer too, but he played against us when we were kids, and he remembered us. He remembered who I was. And I guess when my name kind of came across his desk, he wanted me to audition for the part. And he was happy to say that I got a message that literally said, he says, you have a face everybody would love to punch. And I said, that's my whole life.
Bones, before we let you go, just one more chance to talk about Adam and the relationship there. Adam's obviously been coaching here for a number of years now, and just a couple of weeks ago, celebrate it, I suppose. It's 500th game in charge behind the bench, and it's been a period of time for the Belfast Giants where we've been blessed with hanging a lot of banners, winning a lot of silverware. That must, give you a lot of pride too.
100%. And you know what? And it's not by accident. Even though he may have not have, he won in junior, he won the OHL, he won the Memorial Cup. It's hard to win in pro hockey, but I'm not surprised that he's brought that culture to you guys, just because of the way he played and conducts himself. It definitely, it's contagious, and the players have, clearly bought into what he's preaching. And they can go back and check, YouTube and so forth, and saw how he played, because nothing he does is bullshit. He does it when he says it, he does it. If he says something, he would do it. And I'm sure that's how he coaches now. And again, seeing all those banners, seeing him retired, again, we don't think about that stuff, but I'll be honest, I'm not surprised by a lot of the successes that he has, because believe it or not, guys, Adam Keefe was a goal scorer growing up, like a very good goal scorer. So to see him celebrated as as we would call him, a bit of a meat, huh?
I see Simon laughing.
To see him celebrated as a bit of a, again, an enforcer, a leader, a coach, it's something that pulls on your heartstrings. Like I said, it's a family thing. It's now it's a city thing where you guys are, and everybody that we speak to, and I speak to here in the hockey world, or even friends that we had going in, elementary school and high school, like, they're so proud of this guy. And I'll be honest, his brother was inducted into the Brampton Sports Hall of Fame. And I'll be honest, I think he's going to be inducted fairly shortly, in my opinion. And if he's not, it's a bit of a shame.
Before we let you go, Davey says I got a couple more just to throw at you. Keefer's touched on the Shorsey aspect. I was a fan of Letterkenny, and I'm a fan of Shorsey, and it's such a great team. It must be great to be part of.
Yeah, you know what? It was something out of my element, out of my comfort zone, where it kind of fell in my lap, and I find the hockey culture, we're type of people that just want to please people, and I went into this experience with zero experience, but when I got there, it was it was game time. I really took pride in my role and learning my lines, and brutally honestly, the first scene I had with him, I drew a blank. And I literally just improv'd that whole scene at the red line with him, out of my mouth. And when they cut it, I went up to him and I was apologetic immediately. And he said, no, why are you apologizing? I said, I know your lines. I promise. I know it. He's like, was that you? And I said, that's me. And he said, just be you. And once he told me to do that, it was easy. It's fairly easy. And then I'll be honest, if I can do it, a lot of people can do it. That's for sure.
Well, it gives it a bit of authenticity as well. Are you part of this, the Shorsey Fall Classic that's coming up, the games against the NHL alumni?
So I got a call 2 weeks ago from Jared, and he asked me if I had anything going on November 28th, and that's when they play the Leafs at Scotiabank Arena, and I said no, and he said, would you like to play in it? And I said, absolutely. I know a lot of the times, like, they don't take everybody on the road because you got to pay for visas and so forth to work in the United States. But they just added a few Canadian spots onto the tour. So crossing my fingers that I get the call for that. But if not, I'm honored and proud to just play in the Toronto one, because I know my family, and Kiefer knows my family. There's going to be, 50 Bonellos up in the crowd watching this thing. It's the closest thing I ever got to playing that arena. So they're going to come.
That'll be fantastic. That absolutely. Hopefully, you get on there, mate. That'll be a great game to be part of. Listen, first of all, before I say goodbye, Kiefer said about you in the Allen Cup run and the team that you've been part of. I think you don't want to sell you short. You've been more or less one of the top scorers of your team for about 3 or 4 seasons in a row now. And to give you a bit of context for people who are watching, former Belfast Giants Slater Doggett was on your team last year. Simon Mangos, who was at the Manchester Phoenix. Sean Bentafoglio, who played for the Cardiff Devils for a number of years, all part of that team. So you're smashing it, mate. Listen, we really appreciate you coming and joining us, and maybe we'll get a chance to chat to you again.
Yeah, you know what? I appreciate it, guys. Anytime you want to have a chat, Kiefer knows I don't mind talking and telling stories. That's for sure.
Cheers, bud.
See you
All
guys.
right. See you, Bones.
Big thanks to Brad for coming to join us. Kiefer, what a great character.
Yeah, I know he's one of the best. Obviously, like I said, like I've been over here so long now that I've not lost touch with people, but it's been hard to keep up. Obviously, I haven't been. I guess I haven't been able to be around Brad and his two boys and watch them grow up. But what I am watching grow is what he shows me or what I see online. Obviously, he's doing a great job raising those boys. They're great hockey players, and I know the way that his father raised him. That I know how hard those boys are going to work to become hockey players one day. And clearly, you can hear from his stories that the apple don't fall far from the tree. Because he was a guy, like I said, that played really hard, and he pissed off a lot of people with how hard he played. And obviously, he had the mouth to back it up, which is why it's not surprising that he could go a cappella there on that TV show and be right at home. So, I mean, obviously, pretty cool to watch him. I mean, I never really watched Shorsey there and watched that season. But my wife and I, we watched it, and I thought he was awesome. I was like, this is. Until we got to those points, I was trying to figure out the show. But he obviously had a great part, so I'm not surprised that he's going to continue on. He's not just kind of one season and done.
You've been. It's a great point that you sort of raised there as well, being able to see them and then seeing them in the show and whatever. You've been over here for over a decade now, and having those connections to friends back home, and I'm sure there's a level of homesickness that comes in with it. Being able to bring the guys over as part of your testimonial probably fed into a little bit of a familiarity. But seeing the guys and seeing your friends and doing that, it helps you.
Yeah, it's huge. Obviously, it's tricky because my family's from Prince Edward Island, the majority of my family, which is a small island in Canada. Brad's still living in and around, where we grew up. My parents are still there. My sister's about an hour from there. And then my brother's everywhere in between. So, and then obviously I've got good friends that I was tight with in junior that it's hard to keep in touch. Clarkson lives in Colorado and Richard's in Winnipeg. And, obviously I've got a family here with kids. It's just life gets hard there when you move on and you have a family of your own. Obviously you have other priorities, but whenever we can see each other, we pick up right where we left off. And so it was great to have everybody here for that weekend. I mean, also great for, some of my friends that don't know each other that well to just kind of watch them, because I wasn't able to spend all my time with them. I had my family here. I had aunts, my cousins here as well. So it was a tricky time. Colleen calls it my wedding. But it was a great weekend, but just to watch, like I said, I knew that if I leave 5, 6, 7, 8 of those guys together, the guys that didn't have their wives or girlfriends here, that they were going to take care of each other. They were going to have a good time, and they all did. I mean, there was a group chat there, and that's why I got to. The times I wasn't with them, they were all out having beers together, and I'm sure sharing a lot of stories, and it's great to see. And like I said, everybody that sent me a message after that weekend, including the players that are playing for the Giants right now, all talked about how it was amazing just to see the group of guys that just came together like they were a hockey team for that weekend, and everybody kind of, nobody was left out. Everybody was a part of it. And I couldn't ask for a better weekend. And obviously, a lot of kudos goes to the Giants staff, Simon, Laura, and some of the off-ice staff for putting that whole thing together, including the hospice. I mean, it was extremely stressful on them. And obviously, when I couldn't help out as much as I'd want to, Simon, but because of
you did chip in an awful lot. Like Thought you did more than what you would do, but yeah, you did. You did all right.
I mean, once that season starts, there's a lot of tunnel focus on bringing trophies back here, right? And that's why we had the testimonial in the summer, and there's no chance that I'd be able to have any sort of enjoyment or focus or time for it if it was in season. And I thought that the summertime would give the fans a little something as well, and allow all of us to enjoy it, everybody. So I'm glad that everybody, once it was over, had positive things to say. 'Cause certainly I put a lot of stress on the Giants organization in the summer to put that show on, and obviously with the hospice, I think that charity game as well is like, I'm so happy that we did that as well, because it just kind of brings the whole weekend together and what the Giants are about, and bringing back those players that came back for that, being a part of raising that much money for an amazing cause, and bringing some of the local celebrities in that I thought wasn't sure how I was going to go with them on the ice, and I thought that they stole the whole show. I thought they were amazing, the celebrities, how hard they worked and how much they were competing against each other. I think at one point the actual hockey players were saying, "Let's just leave the celebrities on the ice. It's amazing, and they're the entertainment." And so like that whole night was fun. The after party was great, and then tapped off by the testimonial. So it's great weekend all together, and also, like I said, awesome to bring some of my close friends and family all here to celebrate as well, and I loved it.
I think, Adam, one of the things that I enjoyed the most about the weekend, obviously all the older players coming back that have played for us, and getting to meet the likes of Bones and David Clarkson and Owen Noel and stuff, because we've all got this certain age. I know you are all younger than me, but now we've all got this certain age that we've got our own families and we've got our own kids. They were so happy to talk about Bones talking about his kids. Steve Saviano's kids were never off the ice. Different Chris Higgins telling me about, it was a big, and I don't love the hockey family term, but it was a big family occasion to hear about all these guys, Robbie Sandrock, how his kids are doing. It was lovely.
Yeah, it really was. Like I said, those were all guys that, like, they're some of my best friends, and you just can't see them as much as you'd like to, because you're over here, and not just that. I mean, it's expensive to fly everywhere. I mean, it's extremely expensive just to fly anywhere within Canada. So even if you're home, it's hard to visit people. So, whenever we can have these events that alumni get to come back, I think it's important that we do things like that. And obviously for a great cause, it was, like I said, we couldn't ask for a better weekend. Hopefully there's more to come.
As I say, Adam, that we I know you don't like keep on looking back to it, because you're right in the middle of the hard work right now. Mixed weekend, just passed there against Fife and Dundee. But the games they're going to start coming thick and fast, and we've got two really tough games here this weekend against Glasgow, first home and then away. And now he's away. Where'd he go?
That was me. That's my fault. I'll come back to that. Hold on. There we go. He's back.
Don't know if you heard me, but yeah. So we're literally, I say, it was a tough weekend just passed. Give us your quick thoughts on the two games against Fife and Dundee, and then let's get your thoughts on a really tough upcoming weekend against Glasgow.
Yeah, I mean, first, I think there's certainly some growing pains with us, but there is every year. Like no challenge cup round robin is perfect. I can say that from the moment I played to certainly the time I've been coaching. No challenge cup round robin is ever a perfect one. Even the ones that we do run a perfect score line, but there's a lot of growing pains within that time. We're still figuring out who can play where, and trying to find chemistry, and also trying to find ways to win different ways. But if I can touch on, I guess, the last four games, certainly we didn't love the first Dundee game at home. I thought we went to Fife the next night. We did a professional job against them. Obviously, we did again at home, kind of corrected that at home against Fife. Obviously, Fife is going through some injury problems of their own right now, which has made it an uphill battle for them. I think when they get their players back, I think they'll be a much different hockey game against them. And I think, looking at Dundee, looking at Manchester and some of the other score lines I've seen around the league, I don't think there's going to be an easy game again this year. The league is too good. Obviously we go to Dundee yesterday and lose again. To be fairly honest with you, the first 40 minutes, I thought we did enough to be ahead in that game. We did make some mistakes, so did Dundee. The difference would be that Dundee capitalized on some of our mistakes, and some of the grade A opportunities that we got, we didn't put in the back of the net, and that puts them in the lead going into the third period. And I was hoping for more of a pushback from our team. I think our guys were trying. I think that Dundee, if I'm honest, I think they felt that they were in the lead and they weren't going to give it up, and they blocked a lot of shots and they competed extremely hard for pucks. They didn't make many mistakes, and that makes it very difficult on us to make a pushback. However, we can't accept that's the way it's going to be. We're going to have to compete even harder to make sure that we get looks to claw games back if we're trailing. And this is part of a learning process. We're going to have to learn fast because the games are coming thick and fast, as you say, and we certainly have a job to do within the Challenge Cup round robin as well to not just qualify, but we want that first seed. So, the room for error is certainly closing. And we've got a lot of work to do this week to put a good account for ourselves together for this coming weekend. What I will say is it's not all doom and gloom. I mean, if you look at it analytically from that standpoint, like, we're doing a lot of good things. I don't expect that, I think that we probably could have had 4 or 5 goals in Dundee, if I'm honest. And I don't expect every night to be like that. We're certainly going to have to work a little harder to make sure that those go in the net, and work a little smarter and make sure that we're competing harder around our goalies, to make sure that there's no tap-ins back door, no second looks, no rebounds, making sure our goalies can see the puck, boxing out, the little tiny little things that it just felt like, obviously you've seen goal number 2 in Dundee. The point shot hits off a shin pad and lands on a guy's tape back door, right? It's kind of a dumb luck goal, but if we're taking care of our details there, then we have somebody marked on that guy, and it's not such an easy goal. So those little things that we certainly need to do better to make sure that we can win games 2-1 if we have to.
Let me ask you, it's a difficult one to ask, but let me ask you it anyway. But it's twice against Dundee. It's happened now where there's been a goalie pull. When you make that decision, when you have everything in front of you and you make that decision, how tough a decision is it, and what's your reasoning?
Yeah, it's not an easy one, that's for sure. I think that in game 1, I thought that it was time for a change, just in terms of trying to send a message to the group that we've got to do better in front of them, and also it's an opportunity to stall momentum in the game and try and change the momentum of the game. If I'm honest, neither one of them worked. So it's something that I've got to look at there. I didn't think that we sparked back. I thought we had an opportunity to come back into the game in the first game, but it didn't work at all in the second game. So that's something that I've got to look at myself and my decisions on those, and timing wise. At the same time, it is a group thing that we need to be better. I thought we've made great strides defensively since probably the Zug game. In terms of the odd man rushes, breakaways and 2-on-1s, we've done a much better job in that category, but there's still some little details that we don't want to be giving up easy goals. They're certainly not coming easy to us. And at the same time, like I said, there's a lot of good in our 4 performances so far. We're averaging around 70% possession in a game, so there's a lot of good things that show signs of a very good hockey team, but we've got to put it all together. You can't just have possession. You've got to score goals, you've got to defend hard, and you've got to outcompete teams. So those are the things we've got to bring it all together. I'm confident that it will come together. It's a work in progress right now, and we've got to get our stuff together here fairly soon because the Challenge Cup group in the format, it's not easy just to qualify, never mind get first seed.
Coach, listen, we've got 2 big games against the Glasgow Clan this weekend. We wish you well with those. Thanks for coming on and joining us. Thanks for having a chat with Bones. We really do appreciate it this week.
Yeah, no problem, guys. Cheers for having me.
Big thanks, as always, to Adam Keefe for coming and joining us on this week's That was good fun. Bones was hanging about in the background there, and we were just that close, Davey. We're going to bring him back in to ask one question.
What
question was it?
I thought Says was on the phone there. I've got him. I've got the old 98 with Shorsey, and he asked him, or he said to him, don't rile 98 up. You could buy a houseboat with his rookie card. I wonder how big a boat you could buy with Bones' house with his rookie card. But it was so much fun there to have him on. Like, brilliant.
Really good. It says you're on mute, mate.
Says it's still in 2021.
Okay, yes. Well, hold on. Let's bring it back. You want that last question, Davey?
There you go.
Oh, he's back again. We've got you on the mantelpiece here, Bones. The old picture you signed.
You got the picture up there. That's
the one
awesome.
You signed for me in June. But we're going to say, how big a houseboat could you buy with a Brad Bonello rookie card?
Well, the houseboat, you can get a pretty big houseboat, especially if you tune into season 5. He's got a way bigger part.
Nice one, mate.
When does season 5 come live or come in the UK?
You know what? I couldn't even tell you. They keep everything so tightly lipped here that you have no idea because they really want it to be a surprise bill. They want probably about a week before they start giving advertisements on TV on Crave here in Canada. They'll tell us listen, heads up, we're putting it out there. But if I had to guess, it'd probably be around Christmas time or early January.
Okay, we'll keep an eye out for it.
Looking forward to it. Thanks for bouncing back on, buddy.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Cheers, Bones.
Hey, did that there, did you?
Oh, what's that?
Did you just put that there?
No, it's been there the whole time.
Oh, you're a good man.
That's on my mantelpiece. My hockey wall behind us.
Hey, at least I got one fan. That's good.
Cheers, Bones.
See you, boys.
Big thanks again to Brad Bonello for coming on. Good fun. Tell you what, boys, I thoroughly enjoyed that. Enjoyed that. Just good fun, sis.
Look, I was not sending a message about, we were talking about it last week. We're trying to, it's when the guys, obviously that, it's difficult to try and get them on a night out or a day out. And obviously when they're talking tomorrow, on Monday and Tuesday this week, the boys have got off. So we didn't want to ask them to come on and give them a bit of time to themselves and hopefully prepare for the weekend. So, obviously getting Bones on was an easy one. We talked about maybe trying to get some of the old guard back as well. So we need to get our heads together, even ask the fans who do they want on, let us know your thoughts on to see if there's anybody you want to hear from, and we'll do our best to get in contact with them and see if we can get them come on. Because I know if we reach out to 90% of those, 95% of those people that were here in June, they'll come on in a heartbeat, an absolute heartbeat.
Absolutely. It says drop us a line at AVFTB on Twitter or on Facebook, or drop us an email, podcast@kingdomofthegiants.com. Let us know who you think we should have on for a bit of a chat. And we will do our very best to bring them on and have a chat with them and talk about the old times with regards to the Belfast Giants. The Giants this weekend, as we said, take on the Glasgow Clan, 7 p.m. at the SSE Arena on Saturday, 4 p.m. in Braehead on Sunday. I think that Sunday game is actually on Premier Sports. I know obviously the Clan have their. I'll double. I've put it on the sort of the ticker here, but
I thought it's going. They're showing it as live on Monday night.
Yeah, that's what
is that what it was? Right, but then you'll get it on Clan TV. But yeah, so I thought I saw it on the. I know that they've got their close links with Premier Sports now, because you'll be able to get a lot of their games on there. But so yeah, it does say Premier Sports there, but you probably get it on Clan TV. Check with the Glasgow Clan website for more information. The Clan themselves are, they're battling. They're above us now in that Challenge Cup group, Davy. They've had a bit of a trouble holding on to players, changing up players. But as Keefe said, they got that win over the Manchester Storm just the other week. But as Keefe said, this Challenge Cup group, you have to go out and you have to win. Regardless, we have 8 more games in this to qualify and get ourselves in a good position.
Yeah.
This is the bit where we have to talk to the people out there and give them a bit of insight as to what happens, David.
I think there was enough good things seen over the weekend. An 8-0 home win. I seen enough good things on Sunday not to be like overly worried. Reid Irwin's got another week under his belt training. Sam Jones, Brandon Whistle, all these guys now getting ice time. Simon talked about having a fourth line of Ben Lake, Kieran Long, Brandon Whistle. This team won't go far away with a lineup like that. Yeah, there's details. Adam talked about them there. There's details need ironed out. Goalies need to work. The D need to work, and the forwards need to work. And you're talking about you talked about Scott Conway, JJ Pickenich, and David Goodwin going to come to the party very, very soon. They've done well. Hasn't turned into points, and we've got a couple of weekends here of domestic action before we go back and a couple of European games, and then it's just going to be, before you know it, it'll be December, and you're right in the middle, and we'll be worried about what the stands are in December, not in September.
The danger of the Glasgow Clan says, obviously, I've talked previously about how we now have the 3 most successful coaches in the Elite League era in this league, in Adam Keefe, in Paul Thompson, and one of them is, of course, Corey Nielsen. And Corey will obviously want to make good on what was a pretty bad season last year.
Yeah, he will. No, you're absolutely right. It's I was actually talking to somebody about Paul Thompson the other day, and he's won everywhere he's been. He's one of those coaches you just, he's going to have his team up most nights, ready to go. Corey's won before a lot, won a hell of a lot before. So he's had when you look at Adam and Corey against each other over the last number of years, Adam's, I think he's definitely coming out on top, but every game's different. As I say, we're not firing on all cylinders right now. But we've got 3 or 4 days of practice this week ready to go before Glasgow come to town on Saturday night. And then obviously we're heading back over there on Sunday afternoon, late afternoon for another game against them. But it's look, one game at a time. That's not, lose your crap right now. There's a long way. It's, like Davey says, September. There's nobody's ever won a league in September in hockey. So let's just relax and concentrate on the next one, because again, we need the fan support. There was a massive crowd last weekend. There's a big crowd expected this weekend again. It's been absolutely fantastic. The numbers of fans that we're getting through the doors is just phenomenal. And really looking forward to Glasgow coming to town on Saturday.
100%. Like I had somebody come to send me a DM last October with regards to the Belfast Giants. I will redact the name to protect the innocent, but it was more or less, having a bit of a moan, and I'm referring to us in October of last year. We're not going to win anything. We're nothing but a cup team, and it was sort of that, you need to calm down. It's only early October. We're missing this player, that player. When this team gets firing, we'll be all out, and we're going to be going for this league championship. And by the end of the season, we won 2 trophies. Yes, the old adage is that we say time and time again is 2 points in September is valuable, or 2 points in October is valuable as 2 points in March. That is true, but you don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater with regards to what we have now. Trust the process, isn't that the phrase? Trust the process, and we have the team behind us. We've just been talking to the head coach. We got the assistant coaches. We've got the people behind the whole thing. They know exactly how you win trophies in this league, how you win silverware in this league, because we've done it time and time again. So yes, frustrating. A frustrating weekend in regards to Sunday, but no doubt that the wheels are in motion to make sure that doesn't happen again, or doesn't happen to you. No team in this league goes unbeaten. But we'll see. One thing, I'm actually interested in your take, Davey, before we sort of start wrapping things up, and I brought it up there in regards to the coaching. We had Jimmy Russell there coaching the Fife Flyers, and new to this league. We talked there about Tomo, about Corey and Adam Keefe. It should be that we've said time and time again in this league, having the experience of coaching in this league goes a long way. You see you've got Cam Critchlow, who's now in at Manchester, has experience in this league. How difficult do you think it is to come in cold and not know this league and coaching it?
I think probably the biggest factor is because the league is the big prize, and you cannot take a night off. You can't mail games in and take games off in November thinking, well, it's all right, the playoffs don't start to April because they're 2 weekend. I'd love think everybody involved in and around hockey would love the playoffs to be a bit more of a series or a competition, but it is what it is. So you've got to play the hand you're dealt, and this league is a serious 54 game competition. Jimmy Russell will do well, but needs to get that team completely fit. That Fife team, short body, is going to struggle. I think that they're going to need to be fit. They probably need to get another few bodies in, and it was always going to be a transition season for them coming back after last season. It almost feels like a bit of a fresh start from them. They're having to build from zero up again. It doesn't feel like they've came in and they're building off last season. It feels like a new broom sweeping clean there, and they're going to have to rebuild everything again. So I think Jimmy Russell will have, hopefully, the sympathy of the fan base there for a while anyway, to let him get his feet on the table and try and build something.
And one other difficult coaching aspect of this league is the fact that maybe in North America, I mean, even in the likes of Germany and stuff, you can cut players a lot easier than you can in the Elite League. Yes, you can definitely cut players in the Elite League without a shadow of a doubt, but given the fact that we have our imports, our Brits, and where we are, it's probably you have to coach more than you cut.
Yeah, I think that's fair. When you look at the way Jamie's come in and Tom Coolan, last season had a lot of injuries earlier on as well. Mm-hmm. So, and we know what it's like. We're lucky where we carry a couple of extra guys. So we haven't been as short this year as what maybe Fife are at the minute. But I would say they'll be looking around. That leadership and ownership group that are in Fife at the minute seem to really mean business, and they seem to be doing the right things and saying the right things to try and make sure that they have success. And even watching the numbers of their fans that were coming in for the preseason games against Dundee, and I think they played against Glasgow as well. That's exactly what the town needs. I seen a post the other day from my mate Scott Plews, who owns Gloves Off up in Kirkcaldy, and Big Mike Ware popped into his shop the other day. He played with Mike, and I think it was Murrayfield, and back in the late 90s or maybe early 90s. And I mean, those two together were just absolute bedlam. I played with Mike's brother Greg in Solway, Dumfries, and he was an absolute gentle giant. But Mike got all the anger in that family. He was an absolute lunatic. But it's good for the town up in Kirkcaldy. Obviously, it's they seem to have brought a buzz about the place again. And even listening to Big Bean and Laura when the game was on there at the weekend, or last weekend, sorry, just listening to them, and they feel a wee bit more upbeat about things as well. Even though we won 4-1 over there, it's one of those ones where again, if they can get fit, they're going to beat teams this year. Make no mistake about it. I expect them to be in the top 8 and in the playoffs situation come the end of March, early April.
Yep. Well, once the league's actually started, we had one league game last week, didn't we? But once the league gets going for everybody else, it was it'll come up here. Was it Manchester against Glasgow on on Tuesday or Wednesday of last week. We've had one, I think Glasgow, it's Glasgow against Manchester. So Glasgow won, so the Glasgow are top of the league and Manchester are bottom. One game played and nobody else has played anything. So yeah, but for us,
enjoy it by it lasts.
There you go, 3-2 to the Clan over the Manchester Storm in Elite League competition. I don't think we play until October, like middle of October.
18th, I think it is, yeah,
something like that. Is Cardiff? Is it Cardiff or is it?
I think we're at home, maybe away to Cardiff, and then I think it's home actually. I know Cardiff's the 29th of October because we're nearly sold out already, for God's sake.
But we've got to get through these. We've got to get through these Challenge Cup games first, and get through this Challenge Cup group, and get through to the next stage. There is a difference with regards to how we move on to the next stage. I'll come to that on another day. The rules have been changed, but I'll come back to that. The Belfast Giants will play this weekend, as we said, 7 p.m. on Saturday at the SSE Arena. Get yourself down there, or follow it on Giants TV, and then 4 p.m. over at Braehead, again against the Glasgow Clan. Any other business, boys?
No, mate.
No.
From me, happy birthday to wee Lily. Clean sheet Saturdays are back. She's had 2 in a row, so she's the big 12. She's the big 12 tomorrow, and just plays hockey every day. It's great.
12, mate. 12.
Happy birthday, Lily.
See these kids between what, like Jasmine's what? No,
21, mate.
21.
Yeah.
So,
she's 21 last month. She wanted. I was looking around to try and buy something. You know, the 21st, you want to get something memorable. So that's looking around at maybe a watch or somebody had said about a Tiffany bracelet, and so I said to Jasmine, I said, look, I don't want to get you something. You know, and it's what do you want? And she went, no, not really. And I went, right. She says, Dad, I've got everything. And I went, okay, so I don't have to buy you anything now. And she said, oh no, I've got to spend some money on me. I says, what do you want to do? And she said, I'd love to go to a Formula One race.
Oh, no.
So,
did you get the tickets?
We got the tickets, man. Yeah.
Did they go on sale yesterday, was it, or the day before?
No, well, what I did was I joined the Silverstone Racing Club, so you can get them pre-sale. So it was 120 quid or something to join the racing club, and we managed to get the 3 tickets for the Lando stand. So,
Take it from me. You're in for an absolute treat of a weekend.
You know what?
Brilliant.
I remember you going, and I remember you saying, I can't remember if it was on here or we're just chatting online. I remember saying how good it was, and I'd always wanted to go to a Formula One race. Just never really got the chance. And when Jasmine said that, I went, right, okay. And we looked at prices for some of the European trips, and there's only a certain amount of them that I can get to with time of the year. Obviously it's difficult to get away July, August with here because it's just so busy in the arena and it's renewing the sponsorship deals and what have you. And then last year we couldn't do it because we had June the hockey hospice and there was just so much happening. So we've managed to hire a motorhome. We're going to go to. I have to work out the logistics of getting up and down, going over on a Monday maybe and traveling down, taking our time, staying somewhere in Cumbria or something for the night, and then driving down to Northampton the next day. But we intend to arrive in Silverstone on the Wednesday lunchtime-ish.
The Woodlands camping?
We're staying in the Woodlands, yeah.
Ah, mate, it's just a party time. It's brilliant.
Yeah, so I've got my earplugs with me so they can all go out and get partying and I can just relax. I'm really looking forward to the 3 day. Apparently, there's a concert on the Thursday night, and every single night, mate. There's both Woodlands camping, and then we'll take us there. But it's the whole package, the whole weekend. Chatting to some people who were there, and they've been to like Barcelona and they've been to like Spa, and they said that's all well and good, but it's basically the race, and then you go home. They said, with regards to Silverstone, it's the whole package, and you get all we saw rudimental and stuff. It was brilliant. You're in for a treat, mate. You're in for a treat. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
As is Jasmine, of course, which is the reason. I'm saying you're.
Listen, I'll have a good time, and we're taking our boyfriend. So Thomas is coming as well. As long as he doesn't bring his infield top, we're all right.
Timmy's face. Not having that.
So that's another story, Davy. I'll tell you about it later.
And on that note, we'll wrap it up. 2 games against the Glasgow Clan, Saturday, 7 p.m. Get yourself down to the SSE Arena and get behind the boys in this Challenge Cup. If you can't, you can get it on Giants TV and then over to the Braehead Arena to take it on 4 p.m. on Sunday. You can get that with Aaron Murphy, I believe. He'll be on Clan TV. Thanks to everybody for being involved. Big thanks, of course, to Brad Bonello and to Adam Keefe. You can get us at AVFTB on Twitter. You can get us on Facebook, Instagram, all that sort of stuff. Podcast at kingofthegiants.com. Gentlemen, good to see you. Thanks for that. And we'll, wherever you are this weekend, we'll hope you enjoy your hockey. And we'll catch you here next time on A View from the Bridge.